It's 9:04 this morning here on Richmond's Morning News on News Radio WRVA. Thanks so much for joining us, the Voice of Virginia. Either you start your day with us or you play catch up the rest of the day. Okay. On Wednesdays, as we count down to America's 250th birthday, we invite Dr. Murray Sabrin on, and he just takes a glimpse of what colonial life was like, Revolutionary War life was like during the Revolutionary War. And we talk about it and kind of lean into the vision of what the founding fathers were up against and that vision that we continue to lead today. And we were just talking about the kids wilding and who's responsible and leadership. The United States is chaos. Let me just throw that out. The United States is an experiment in chaos because nowhere else in the world had anybody ever said, well, you know what? You're independent. You can have self-rule. You don't need a king. The people can decide. That was so radical at the time, it was chaos. We say chaos today in America because we are a group of people that get together and try to come up with a consensus of what we do. It is absolutely chaotic. And you see it right now where we disagree, and there are times that it feels overwhelming, but there's other times where I'll tell you it's been more overwhelming. We just need to remember that history. That's why Dr. Murray Sabrin joins us every week as we count down to 250 to talk about that. So let's go out to the WRVA guest hotline. Dr. Murray Sabrin joins us as we get ready for USA 250. Hello, sir.
Great to be with you again, Rich.
Thank you so much. All right, it is May right now, May 20th, May 21st, Pennsylvania. Let's go back to leading up to America's 250th birthday on July 4th. At this point, what's the mood in the country? Is there now just learning of what's going on, the unrest? What was the mood of the country? What was the temperature of the country before anybody knew that we were going to have a Declaration of Independence?
Well, there were people, as we discussed in the past, people who, especially the financial elite of this country, because they were benefiting from their relationship with Great Britain. So they wanted to keep the status quo and not push for independence, while the people who were pushing for independence saw that that King George III was oppressing them with trade laws and other warrantless searches and all the things that made them feel we are not citizens. We are serfs, if you will, servants of the king. And this was the great philosophical breakthrough that people felt that they're entitled to God-given rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And so you had this tension in several of the colonies, particularly Pennsylvania, because May 20th, the people who were agitating for independence had a big rally. And then the next day, the pro-British people had a big rally. And eventually, the pro-independence people won out because they were better organized. They had Thomas Paine behind him. Thomas Paine was instrumental after writing Common Sense that we have to really expound upon this notion of liberty, independence, trial by jury, all the things that we take for granted today, but we've lost our way, as we've discussed in the past, that the founders gave us something so unique, so precious, that unfortunately it's been squandered for the past 250 years, and we can go into that some other time. But the point is, back then, the people who really wanted independence saw that their lives were undermined by what the crown was doing. And this is why the financial elites in every society like the status quo, like big government. And that's one of the big myths in America today, that every wealthy person loves small government. But there's, as you know, wealthy people that love big government because they're getting grants and subsidies from the state that they otherwise would not be able to get in a free market.
Okay. Let's put this in a context of 1776 to 2026, 250 years ago. Yeah. Try to put this in a context of what these protests in Pennsylvania would be like in today's modern language.
Well, I think you would have maybe 1 million people going to Washington to protest the big government policies of the federal government that have evolved over the past 100 years. Then you'd probably get the people like AOC and Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and other leftists in Congress and around the country who say, no, we need to tax the rich. We need to regulate the economy. We got to have health care for all. We've got to have a single payer system. And that is the tension we have in America today. It's very similar to what we had in 1776. The people that wanted smaller government. And by the way, I posted on my Substack an excerpt from the Declaration of Reindependence that I'm issuing next week, and hopefully we can make June 4th a holiday in the future, which is the reassertion of the principles of 1776.
Okay, I want to go back to this for just a second. So if we had these rallies today, the people that wanted to be independent, they went first. What would you say? 1 million people would show up for this protest somewhere, and it would be on the front page of every newspaper, website, and it would be all over our social media channels?
Oh, absolutely. I think there is an undercurrent, and it's pretty overt. You have people who are opposed to military action around the world. George Washington warned about this in his farewell address. There are people that want to downsize the federal government to its constitutional limits. And then you have people who want to expand the federal government, despite what the Constitution says regarding what government can spend money on.
Oh, no, I'm just trying to put it in context so we can understand it, because so many times we look back at the Founding Fathers and we try to judge them in today's world instead of understanding what they were doing. So if I've had the Patriots show up in D.C. today, there'd be, 1 million of them show up? If I had the Tories, the loyalists show up, how many would have showed up for that rally the next day?
Well, the interesting thing is the Tories really got their people together, but philosophically they were facing a big headwind because Thomas Paine and the other people that were calling for independence had the moral high ground. They said we cannot be a free and independent people if we are servants of King George, and they eventually went out because the Tories, the wealthy people, didn't have the ability to message properly what they wanted, because who wanted the status quo, warrantless searches and trade restrictions?
Were there wealthy patriots?
Oh, absolutely, there were wealthy patriots.
So why would they? This is fascinating to me. Why would they? If I'm doing well in let's say Virginia, and I've got a great relationship with the king, why would I jeopardize that by wanting to be a patriot?
This is where the ideas matter. If people are doing well financially, economically, but they have a deep-seated belief in liberty, they're going to embrace the cause of liberty and the independence movement. And they're the ones that we used to call them rugged individualists, people who were able to become wealthy and successful in the marketplace because they had the entrepreneurial skill to do so, and they also were in favor of liberty. I've spoken to many business people over my lifetime who really dislike the federal government and what governments do because they are entrepreneurs. They are rugged individualists. They have a product or a service that they want to make available in the marketplace, and they don't want subsidies, they don't want grants. This is a fundamental philosophical issue. There are poor people who are rugged individuals. There are poor people who believe in the welfare state. So you cannot put people in a box because of their gender, because of their income, because of their wealth or their station. It really comes down to, what do you believe is the fundamental principle of the relationship between the government and the individual?
Okay, last question. And we're talking with Dr. Murray Sabrin, joins us on Wednesday. We lean back and try to give proper context in today's 2026 world of what it would have been like back 250 years ago. When these people are standing there on day one, the patriots are like, hey, listen, we're tired of the king. We have rights given to us from God. We will be independent men. On a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy is that? And here's what I'm going to give you the scale to look at. We've all seen the videos of the sovereign people that stand there and just kind of argue, well, I'm a sovereign citizen. This isn't a vehicle. I'm moving. They go before the court. I'm a sovereign. You don't have jurisdiction. They just look like they're out in left field. If a scale of 1 to 10 is the sovereign that goes and tells the police that they're not under the jurisdiction of the laws, if that person's a 10, right, and we see them how kooky they look at times, how kooky to the people that said, we don't need a king. Men can rule themselves.
I would say they're probably at least an 8, because they're the ones that didn't want a centralized government 3,000 miles away dictating to them how they should lead their lives and how they should be governed. Today, of course, because we have this big centralized state in Washington, D.C., anything that criticizes that or stands up to it is considered really kooky and out of the box. But again, this is the tension we've seen in this country for 250 years. You can go through every decade of American history, and we see people who just wanted to be left alone, and people who said, no, we have to have more centralized decision-making for, quote, the good of the people.
Wow. See, that's the interesting part is when today you and I look, yeah, absolutely, we're going to be free. We're not going to have a king. We'll vote. The elites will not tell us what to do. 250 years ago, that was as kooky an idea to the world as the sovereigns are to us right now, just to put it all in context. This has been great. Dr. Murray, I appreciate it. We'll check in with you next week as we get closer and closer to USA 250. Your input in the program has been wonderful, and it just kind of reminds us this is a great experiment. We're not done yet, but we do have to protect the liberties that we were given so we can hand it off to the next generation. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you next week.
Great to be with you, Rich. See you next week.
Thank you. Dr. Murray Sabrin joins us every Wednesday here on News Radio WRVA. All right, today's program brought to you in part by